Hey, thanks everybody for sticking around. I'm Chuck McCutcheon, Axios' energy and climate editor, and we're going to close out our events here with our final guest this morning. Please welcome to the stage X-Energy CEO Clay Sell. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Chuck.
So Clay and I go way back, 20 plus years ago when I was a young reporter and he was working for Senator Pete Domenici. So it's great to see how far we've both come. Anyway, you just returned from England. You were part of a huge announcement with British Gas for 6 gigawatts, which is 6 billion watts. Across 12 small modular reactors. Can you sort of talk about that and why it's significant?
Yeah, the corporate name of British Gas is now Centrica.
Right.
So we announced, and Centrica is one of the major energy providers in the UK. They operate and own 15% of the nuclear fleet in the UK. So they selected our technology for what will be a targeted 6 gigawatt buy over the next couple of decades. Mm-hmm. We're going to start with a 12-unit plant in the north of England. That'll be 1 gigawatt or 960 megawatts of power. It's an extraordinary step for X-Energy. It's a great move for the UK economy, and it has been widely supported and embraced by the UK government. So we're very, very pleased to have that announcement. And I'll tell you, it all goes back to the policy of this government in creating the Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program. I know y'all had Chris Levesque on earlier. He's a beneficiary, TerraPower is a beneficiary of that program as X-Energy is. But because that program exists, it allowed us to attract Dow Chemical as our first partner to build a plant in Texas. It allowed us to make our deal with Amazon, which is still the greatest nuclear buy announced by any hyperscaler in the United States. They invested in our company. And of course, now we have a further affirmation from Centrica. That takes our order book up to 144 units. And no one in our sector has anything approaching that. That allows us to get the attention of the supply chain, which has to be rebuilt in order to get nuclear at scale. So. We're chipping away at it.
Yeah. I want to ask about Dow and Amazon, but I also first want to just follow up and say, you and I talked backstage about how this was part of a whole suite of deals with different nuclear companies and British entities, and what this could mean from sort of a regulatory perspective in terms of, smoothing the hurdles or easing the whole regulatory process. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, as part of the summit announcements, the signature was the Centrica X-Energy announcement, but there was also an announcement of a collaboration between the UK Office of Nuclear Regulation and the US Nuclear Regulatory Commission to collaborate. Ultimately, we want to get to an end state where a design certification in one regulatory jurisdiction can be easily transferred to the other. And I think the framework that was laid out will allow us to do that. We're engaged with the Office of Nuclear Regulation in the UK as we are well advanced with the US NRC. There's a perception, Chuck, I think among investors in the marketplace that it's still hard to get these plants licensed. And I will tell you, it is not. If you do the work and you answer the questions that the regulator poses and have the detail and the analysis and the design to support it, I'm confident that that you can get through the regulatory process appropriately. We filed our construction permit application with Dow for the project down in Texas, and we received the shortest ever published review timeline that the NRC has ever put out on an initial application, 18 months. And that's a product of the reform that's happened at the NRC. And quite frankly, the president deserves credit for directing quicker review schedules.
Okay. So looking more broadly at nuclear, I mean, there's so much public and political support for it now. You hear the word renaissance being used. I mean, there was talk of a renaissance, 15, 20 years ago.
I have not used that term for
why not?
20 years, because I used it 20 years ago. And
Oh, okay. Well, what do you, why could there be a resurgence now? Is it just AI? Is it the regulatory and the policy changes that you mentioned? Is it kind of a combination of things?
It's everything. It's the political support, which has changed dramatically in 20 years. It's the policy support, which has changed dramatically in 20 years. 20 years ago, what was driving the nuclear so-called renaissance were high gas prices.
Right.
Then gas prices dropped,
Yeah.
and nuclear was dead. Long before Fukushima, nuclear was dead because of gas.
Right.
And today, just the drivers for new nuclear are very different. And instead of a competitive technology driver, it's really now a demand driver. And everyone here has talked about AI demand, and David Dardis just gave a very eloquent review of that. But that's what's driving it. And the notion of additionality and 10 gigawatts, 20 gigawatts, 100 gigawatts in the next 25 years of new nuclear is largely accepted as a policy outcome that must be achieved. And so it's just a completely different dynamic.
Okay. We talked about Amazon. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of their investment to support completion of your reactor design and licensing of this first phase of this fuel fabrication facility in Tennessee?
Yeah, well, Amazon will spend, I think they've publicly said, $100 billion on building data centers this year.
Right.
And so that gives you the sense of the quantum of power that they need to have. And so they went through an extensive policy review, technology review a couple of years ago. They selected our technology. They invested heavily in the company. But they did something even more important, and that is they made a decision to invest in actual projects. So there is a 12-unit project that the utility Energy Northwest in Washington State is doing. Amazon is putting in the initial risk capital into that project. So they are actually putting their dollars where their voice is. And that's moving that forward. And that's really that'll be the first gigawatt as part of a 5 gigawatt buy that Amazon has targeted between now and 2039. But again, some of the capital that when they led our last financing round, some of that capital, Chuck, to your point, is going to the construction of our fuel facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, it's the first new commercial fuel facility that's been built in the United States in over 50 years. We're going to make encapsulated fuel, which is really the preferred fuel for the next generation of reactors. It's extraordinarily safe and robust. And so that project has been under construction for a year. We went vertical 2 days ago, and it'll be online in the first quarter of 28.
Yeah. We also mentioned Dow. I wanted to have you also talk about your Dow project there. That would be the first grid-scale advanced nuclear reactor to serve an industrial site in North America. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, and thank you for emphasizing that. It's such an exciting use of nuclear power. Never in the West have we used a nuclear power plant to produce steam for an industrial process. So we're going to produce both steam and electricity with this plant for Dow's use. We couldn't ask for a better partner. Dow has it in their core, the competency and ability to build large, highly complex mega projects. It's part of their core capabilities. So to have them as our first partner when we're so heavily focused on mitigating construction risk is a huge, huge benefit to us. So that project proceeds. What we anticipate receiving our construction permit in the fourth quarter of 26, which will put us in a position to start construction early in 27.
Okay. I mean, you've had all these spate of good news recently. I mean, is there anything, that keeps you up at night in terms of, what could go wrong? for either X-energy or nuclear writ large?
Yeah, Chuck, I'm a businessman. And and sadly, for the people that work for me, like I hardly ever celebrate. Like as soon as we get a win, like I pocket that, and I'm like, what's the next problem? And so yeah, that's probably one of my problems as a leader is I'm always focused on the challenges. But I'll tell you, we corporately get tremendous joy out of solving problems. We have a corporate philosophy that's characterized with these words. We do today what others do tomorrow. And so we take on with relish this first mover role. We want to solve the problems first. We see value for our investors in solving problems first. So we take it on. But yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
Okay. I also just wanted you to briefly talk real quick about your AMPI, the Advanced Nuclear Power for Installations program, where you're trying to speed up the deployment of microreactors to provide power at military bases and such.
Yeah. We have probably have as an advanced design of a microreactor as all but 2 or 3 folks in the industry. The Strategic Capabilities Office funded us for years in developing this design. We've put our own capital into it to make it more commercial and applicable to a wider array of applications. And now, the Army is back, and they're considering the terms of a procurement, which we think we have the right technology for. So we continue to advance the state of that micro design, and it's on rough order 7 megawatts electric.
Okay, all right. Last question, and it's a fun one. Clay is a Texas Tech alum, so I wanted to ask him what he thinks of the Red Raiders football team this year.
Big 12 championship.
Yeah, right.
Our first trip to the college playoffs, and we make it to the national championship game.
Oh.
There it is. You heard it right there.
And what about your fellow Texas Tech alum, Patrick Mahomes? What do you think of the season he's having? It's kind of a rough start.
I wouldn't bet against him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet against him.
Okay, great. All right. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. Clay, thanks so much for joining us.